There are seasons in a woman's life when her heart still beats in her chest, but not in her spirit. She keeps going. She keeps showing up. She keeps doing what needs to be done. From the outside, nothing seems broken. But inside, something has faded. Her joy feels distant. Her hope feels fragile. Her prayers feel thin, like they fall to the ground before they reach heaven. Her laughter is quieter, her dreams smaller, her courage dimmer than it used to be. It wasn't one moment that dimmed her. It was many, small disappointments, quiet heartbreaks, hidden fears, responsibilities she carried alone, and battles she never had time to heal from. She didn't lose faith. She just stopped feeling alive inside. But here is the beautiful truth. Every weary daughter needs to remember, God restores what life tries to take. Her heart was never dead. It was waiting, waiting for breath, waiting for peace, waiting for God to touch the places that had grown numb from surviving too long. And he did, not in a loud moment, not in a dramatic encounter, not in a miracle that shook the earth, but in a quiet returning, a holy softening, a gentle awakening. He breathed life into the parts of her that she thought were gone forever. He revived what sorrow had buried. He called her heart back into fullness, with the same love that called Lazarus from the tomb. "Come out," he whispered to her spirit. "Live again." If you've ever felt numb, tired, empty, or quietly broken inside, stay. This message is for the woman whose heart is learning how to live again. And if these words already stirred something in you, something soft, something hopeful, something awakening, consider subscribing so your heart always has a place to return when it needs life again. Now, let's walk through her awakening. Her heart didn't fade in a single day. It dimmed slowly, the way a candle flickers when the room grows colder. It happened in the quiet moments she never told anyone about, moments when she felt misunderstood but didn't have the strength to explain, moments when she tried to pray, but the words sat heavy on her tongue, moments when she looked in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She wasn't broken, she wasn't lost, but she was tired, in a way that sleep couldn't fix. She learned to function through numbness, to move through exhaustion, to smile through emptiness, to hide the ache that sat deep in her chest. People called her strong, but she didn't feel strong. She felt resigned, disconnected, quietly hurting. Her heart hadn't died. It had gone into survival mode, and survival, though it keeps you standing, slowly steals your sense of being alive. But God noticed long before she did. He saw the spark in her fading eyes. He saw the tenderness in her spirit, growing dull under the weight of everything she carried. He saw the dreams she stopped believing in, the tears she blinked away, the exhaustion she hid even from herself, and he didn't turn away. He didn't wait for her to fix it. He didn't demand strength from a heart that was barely holding on. He came close, because numbness is not the absence of life. It is the sign that life needs to be restored. Her heart was not beyond repair. It was waiting to be revived. And the one who created her was already preparing to breathe life back into what had grown quiet. Her numbness was not the end of her story. It was the place where her awakening would begin. God rarely shouts when he calls a heart back. Most of the time, he whispers. And that's how her awakening began. Not through a dramatic moment, but through gentle, unmistakable signs that only a weary heart would recognize. A verse that lingered in her mind long after she closed the Bible, a sudden warmth during a prayer she thought was too weak to matter, a moment of peace in the middle of a day. That should have broken her, a memory of a time when she felt close to God, not to make her long for the past, but to remind her that intimacy with him was never lost. Little by little, he began stirring life within her. She noticed her thoughts softening. She noticed her fear loosening. She noticed her hope, small, fragile, trembling, returning. Not because the circumstances changed, but because he was changing something inside her. God was awakening her spirit. Through the tenderness she felt, in moments that used to feel empty, he was calling her back to the version of herself that could feel deeply, love freely, and believe boldly. The version he created, not the one life had worn down. He didn't pressure her to rise. He didn't condemn her numbness. He didn't criticize her slowness. He only drew near, again and again, softly, patiently, faithfully. Each small spark of feeling was his way of reviving her. Each breath of relief was his way of restoring her. Each moment of unexpected stillness was his way of reminding her that she was not forgotten. Her heart wasn't coming back to life because she tried harder, but because she finally allowed the one who holds life itself to touch what had grown cold. She didn't recognize it yet, but resurrection had already begun. There came a moment, quiet, gentle, almost unnoticeable, when she realized something inside her had begun to awaken. It wasn't dramatic. There were no tears, no overwhelming emotion, no sudden revelation. It was subtle, like the first warm breeze after winter, like sunlight breaking through a half-closed window. She felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, a flicker of hope, a flicker of desire, a flicker of life. She found herself wanting to pray, not out of duty, but out of longing. She reached for scripture and felt the words breathe differently, alive, present, personal. She worshipped quietly and sensed a stirring in her chest that told her God was closer than her numbness had ever allowed her to believe. It wasn't a full awakening, but it was real. This is how God revives a weary heart. Not all at once, not through pressure, not through shame, but through a holy stirring that softens what pain had hardened. He begins awakening the places that have been dormant. He begins restoring the feelings that have been muted. He begins breathing life into the dreams she thought were buried. Her heart was responding to him. Even when she didn't understand what was happening, it was as if her spirit recognized the touch of the one who created it. And in that recognition, she found the courage to hope again, slowly, hesitantly, but sincerely. Her awakening didn't look like a mountain rising. It looked like a seed breaking through soil, small, quiet, holy. And once that seed broke through, there was no going back. Her heart was learning to feel again, learning to breathe again, learning to live again, because the God who awakens hearts never does so halfway. He brings life in full. There came a day, not loud, not dramatic, when she realized her heart was no longer just surviving. It was living. She felt it first, in the way peace settled over her, before she even asked for it. In the way her prayers felt less like desperation and more like conversation. In the way her thoughts stopped spiraling and began to rest. In the way her hope no longer trembled, but stood on steadier ground. Her heart, once numb, once exhausted, once buried beneath layers of quiet sorrow, was awake again. And the awakening didn't come from willpower or discipline. It came from presence. The presence of the one who breathed life into dust, who revived the dead, who restores souls, and who whispers to weary daughters, "Live again." For the first time in a long time, she felt warmth in places that had gone cold. She felt joy not loud, but true. She felt peace, not fleeting, but rooted. She felt hope, not imagined, but revived. Nothing around her had changed dramatically, but she had, because when God gives life back to a heart, He doesn't just repair it, He renews it. Her heart beat with a softness that came from grace, with a strength that came from surrender, with a courage that came from knowing. She was not walking alone. She could feel again, without fear, dream again, without shame, love again, without hesitation, hope again, without trembling. Her heart was alive, truly alive, because the God who restores had touched her, and once He breathes life into a heart, nothing can take that life away. In the end, her healing wasn't marked by a single moment of triumph, but by the quiet return of life to a heart that had grown tired of surviving. She didn't rise all at once. She didn't suddenly become fearless. She didn't wake up overflowing with joy. Her heart came back to life the way dawn breaks, softly at first, almost unnoticed, then slowly filling every corner with warmth and clarity. And this time, the life inside her didn't come from pretending to be strong or forcing herself to push forward. It came from God breathing into her the way only He can. He revived what sorrow tried to bury. He healed what time alone could not. He awakened what fear had numbed. He restored what she thought was forever lost. Her heart did not come back to life because she earned it, but because she belonged to the giver of life Himself. She understood then that God doesn't just mend broken hearts, He resurrects them. He brings them back with purpose, with tenderness, with new strength and new softness, woven together in holy balance. And now, her life carries a quiet testimony of a God who meets His daughters in the dimmest places and calls them into fullness again. If this message touched you today, if you felt something awaken inside you, something soften, something breathe, consider subscribing, not for this channel, but for your journey, so that each week your heart has a place to return when it needs hope, renewal, and the reminder that God is still in the business of bringing hearts back to life. Your heart can live again, and He will breathe life into it every time you come to Him.